Hey guys, how's it going? So, as promised, I was going to try to start doing a little live streaming every week since we haven't done the podcast in a little while. So, this is kind of to get me started back on kind of doing something every week until we can start doing the podcast once a month. I didn't really come up with too many prepared topics. I did like y'all's suggestions, though. I saw some things that y'all wanted me to talk about, and I'll try to get to some of those. Unless you guys, put some cool little questions up here, then I can answer them. So, I guess to start off by talking about the investigation we did last night. I can't give too many details about the people or the place or anything like that, but we did do a private residential, and initially we were contacted through email about some strange events that were going on in this house, and I'm going to say North DFW area. That's I don't want to give any exact locations or names, but they were having it's a lady. She's got 5 kids, and they all live there together. She's divorced, and so the kids go back and forth between the dad, but they've been having activity in the house. They keep hearing footsteps upstairs. That's a pretty common one that we debunk a lot, and I'll get into what we found out as we did the investigation too. But, they were hearing footsteps upstairs. Another really cool story that they told us about was the way their house is designed is every closet you go into, there's another door in the back of the closet, in the upstairs closets, which leads to this big attic space, which is actually really creepy. It's straight out of Insidious. But one of the cool stories she told us, well, I don't know if she considers it cool, but one of the interesting stories we were told was her going in there and noticing one of the closet doors was open, but when she went to go close the door, she noticed that the secondary door inside to the attic was partially open, and when she put her hand on the doorknob to the outer door, the second door slammed shut all of a sudden, like somebody had pulled it closed, which that would creep me out too. Of course, one of the first things we thought of was, draft, wind, air pressure changes, because there's hotter or colder air in the attic as opposed to the air conditioned environment that can cause negative pressure sometimes. But she brought up some good points. Is they never open those doors. The kids never mess with those. So why was it open in the first place? There was another interesting story where she was at the bottom of the stairs, and this happened a couple of times actually, but she heard a voice actually in her ear telling her to go upstairs, telling her to come upstairs, and she also smelled a really heavy smell of sulfur. There's a few scientific things that can cause that. Of course, but as soon as I read that in the email, the first thing came to my mind that comes to everybody else's mind, and we try not to, with the way we do our investigations and stuff, we try not to jump there. We try to be responsible as investigators. We try not to tell anybody they have demons in their house or anything like that unless there's solid proof. But a lot of the activity, aside from some of the stuff I was talking about, a lot of the activity they were having, even though nobody was getting hurt or anything, it seemed really kind of negative. And then, they said the sulfur thing. And then before she even got in contact with us, they had actually, priest is the wrong word, I think they used a pastor, maybe, somebody affiliated with a local church. And it's really weird the way I don't know if this is a common thing. If you guys know, maybe y'all could tell me. But they did a blessing on the house, but instead of the pastor, the priest, or whatever the official was, coming to the house and doing the blessing I've normally heard of people doing it, they did it over the phone, which sounds really sketchy to me. And then the other thing she mentioned is that when the activity didn't stop after that, she said she talked to him again, and he said something about putting a team together, which is really weird, like, especially being affiliated with the church. Like, like I said, let me know if, like, I'm off base, but in my experience, normally the church wouldn't put together, like, a team and come out and investigate. Usually it's like one official, he'll come in, and they'll just do like a generic blessing, and if things escalate from there, like, it's like doing stuff with the church that way, it's really like pulling teeth. I mean, and I guess it depends like what church you're dealing with or whatever. And initially when we were talking to her about it, she thought it was the Catholic Church, which I know they definitely don't do things that way. I mean, they'll come out and bless your house, but they're not going to do it over the phone. So she thought maybe it was a Lutheran or Episcopalian or something like that. I don't know. That's just a weird situation. Like I've heard of people having that somebody come out and bless the house and things like that before we get there, you know. But I've never heard of them like calling it in over the phone, you know, like just blessing it over the phone. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I mean, my group doesn't normally deal with that side of it anyway. I mean, we just objectively go in and observe. We don't claim to be able to remove anything or anything like that. But that, honestly, to me, that bothers me because that sounds especially sketchy in my book. So she told us those stories. She told us about that. There was, she had some people stay over, and they didn't stay the whole night. She actually had some close friends stay in one of the rooms, and they actually called an Uber at about 2 in the morning and darted out of there. They weren't comfortable in the room at all. Of course, her kids had been seeing something, and one of the beds was really violently shook one night. So, we did an investigation in this house. We started at about 10 o'clock. We ended up staying until about 1 in the morning, so it wasn't a real long investigation. And actually, you know, about a day before we went out there to do our scheduled observation, they emailed back, and they weren't sure if we still wanted to come out because they said the activity had kind of calmed down over the past few days. But, you know, we decided to go out anyway just to see what we would get. One of the first things we did during our investigation is, you know, we sat down and we just talked with them. We got all the stories and everything like that. While I was setting up equipment upstairs, which we ran 8 static cams last night. Or actually, this is the night before. I keep saying last night. It's actually the night before, Saturday night. I set up 8 cameras upstairs. We ran a couple of handhelds. We put microphones around the house to let them sit. I also used a diode. I haven't been through all the footage and everything yet, obviously. But while I was doing that, the girls were sitting downstairs at the dining room table. Oh, there's interference in the sound? Hold on, let me see if I can... That's weird, because I don't really have anything going on right now. See if that fixes it. Because I don't even have anything running. Man, trying to fix that, I kind of lost track of what I was doing. Anyway, we were running 8 cameras upstairs, and... sorry if the camera's shaky for a minute. I'm trying to find something else to set it on. I think it might be the fan that was... I had the camera sitting on my router, so that might have something to do with it. I really should have worked this out before I started. Y'all forgive me, right? Just give me a minute. I got a box here. Let me try setting it on top of this box. Bear with me a second. Well, I'll just hold it for now. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so anyway. So anyway, I had 8 cameras upstairs, and 2 handhelds. We had microphones all over the place that we were checking out. And 2 diodes set up. and EMF detectors. We did EMF readings and everything. While I was upstairs setting up cameras, though, the girls were sitting downstairs at the dining room table. And while they were sitting there, they smelled that sulfur smell that was reported. So we kind of confirmed that. We looked around. We didn't see like any dead animals. The house was set up for electric, not gas, anything like that. So we don't think that there was a gas leak per se. So we were kind of stuck on that. Actually, the girls asked if I had crop dusted them walking by, which sounds funny, but it's actually really creepy because they thought I had actually walked by the table while I was setting up equipment. Well, the thing is I never walked by that table. And the clients were actually outside on the back porch, so as not to interfere with what we were doing during the setup. So, like right off the bat, before we had really even started investigating, we already had a personal experience where the girls thought they saw somebody walk by, and they actually thought it was me. They didn't know it was, experienced until we were talking about it, and they actually smelled that weird sulfur smell that they had been reporting. So that's a little alarming, but there's still some things that could explain that. For one, there's a lot of fracking for natural gas in the area that they're at, which can cause infrasound, which I've talked about infrasound quite a few times about how it can cause hallucinatory reactions in the amygdala. But also what it can do is the fracking can cause tremors in the area, which can cause a lot of vibrations that are low key, because like the earthquakes that we have here in Texas aren't like the earthquakes you have like that you hear about like on the West Coast. It's like low level subsonic vibration. So like mirrors will vibrate. It'll be like something just hit the house all of a sudden, just like a solitary boom or whatever, could make like the beds rattle. They also reported like hearing the coat hangers in one of the closets move, like somebody was moving it. It could account for some of that stuff. It's not 100% thing. But with fracking is natural gas, and if there's like little pockets or something breaking loose and something shifting, but I don't know why it would be in small little pockets around the house. So that's really something we need to look into a little bit more, because this is probably the first case we've dealt with where somebody reported like usually when we get reports of smells, it's usually, Pappy's cigar smoke or grandmama's perfume. And we usually think of that as like your brain can create smells for memory. It's just how your brain works. It makes sensory information. So we usually think along those lines, but a sulfury smell is kind of weird. And it's also weird that my investigators, Allie and Sarah, both smelled that smell sitting there. So kind of, we always say that that personal experience is valid, but it's not necessarily evidence. But in this case, we have to document the personal experience that we're having as like some kind of valid event. So that's one thing taken into consideration. So that was before we even started investigating. Of course, then we get into the investigation, and Allie started by taking pictures of everything with the lights, with a regular camera with all the lights on and a flash, and then turning all the lights off with a flash. And then we decided to sit around the table where we smelled I didn't experience it, but where they smelled the sulfur smell, and try to do an EVP session there. Well, interestingly enough, we had a few things happen right then and there. For one, on the EVP recorder, which, man, if I really thought about it, I would have brought the EVP recorder in here so I could play it for you, but now I'm holding the camera too. I'm already streaming, so I don't want to get up and go. But on the EVP recorder, we, not 2 questions into our session, we kind of captured like some strange sounds in the background. Not necessarily words, but there was definitely like a sound of something coming through, like almost like a hush sound or like a whooshing sound. But I know we were all being 100% stationary. And we caught that on the first playback. We always do about 4 or 5 questions. We'll do a minute 30, and then we'll stop, and then we'll replay one of our handheld recorders to see if we got anything, so that we can ask more relevant questions. We've actually got more relevant answers now doing that now with that new procedure. So that actually happened twice. But what was really weird, and this is the second case this has happened on now, but right before the investigation, I know 100% I charged up all my camera batteries, and all my, we have some apps that we use on a cell phone, not ghost hunting apps. I hate those. But we use our thermal camera runs through a cell phone. It's the Seek thermal camera, plugs in, has to use an app to do that. But it's not a ghost hunting app. It's to run that specific piece of hardware. But anyway, I charged that phone up to 100% right before we left, and I made sure it was off because I had to turn it on. So I know it was at 100%, and that particular phone I know will hold, if I charge it up and I just like leave it sitting on a table for a while, it'll hold charge for like 3 or 4 days if I don't touch it. So there's no reason that battery shouldn't have been full. And I know I charged the camera batteries. But the interesting thing is with that particular rig is I set up an IR camera and that thermal camera side by side, so we're capturing in both spectrums at the same time. That way we can compare the footage in case we find something weird in one, we can check out in the other and see if it showed up on both. So right around the same time we got those EVPs, first on my IR camera, I got a low battery warning. There was only like 5% left. It went from full to 5% and flashed up the red warning it gives saying I need to switch batteries out or it's going to stop recording. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. While I was reading that message, the phone that is on the same rig right beside it all of a sudden was also at like 10% or 5%, something like it also flashed up the thing saying it was going to shut down pretty soon. So at the same time, and I'm not one to say that battery drain is necessarily paranormal. Like, I mean, most of the time it's I forgot to charge the battery, or we left it out in the cold, or something like. There's 9 times out of 10 there's a logical explanation for it. But for the second time ever on an investigation, I know I had a fully charged battery, and all of a sudden it just wasn't charged anymore, which is pretty interesting, because it happened just like that. I mean, we had not been doing investigation for a complete 15 minutes, and the battery's completely drained, and we got an EVP at the same time, and in that area the girls had an experience with smelling something. So you kind of end up with these layers of things that add up to something that's like it's still not proof. I'm still not saying that it's absolutely paranormal, but there are a lot of little indicators in that little span of time that kind of give you clues to, hey, something more could actually be going on here. Maybe these people aren't nuts. Of course, I don't think she's nuts, even if we didn't find anything. She was really, really sensible. She was really, really smart. She listened to everything that we were talking about. The rest of the night, as far as things happening that we noticed in the moment, the only other thing I think I caught was when the lady had 3 floors. There was like an attic floor, a 3rd floor. We were up on the 3rd floor, which nobody goes up there anymore because it creeps them out so bad. But I thought I heard like some movement in the upstairs while we were sitting in the dark. But I didn't get it on camera, and it really could have been one of us moving around. But it was kind of weird when it happened. We were kind of asking it to move something, and then I heard a noise. But the girls didn't hear it, so that one could have just been off the wall. But after I go through the evidence, I'll be able to go into greater detail on a lot of that stuff, and see if there's more that came out. Because like I said, I had 8 cameras running the whole time that we were there. 8 cameras running the whole time that we were there, and So I mean, anything could have been caught, and especially if we caught some audio or movement or something in a room where we weren't there at the time manipulating the environment. And of course, the EMFs, we didn't get any high spikes, but all during the interview there was this like coffee pot that kept having like some kind of weird electrical interference. Now I don't count like electronic gadgets as paranormal. Like anything could really just malfunction at any time, but they had kind of mentioned that a few times while they were having conversations about the things that were going on in the house, the lights would start to flicker and then it would like never do it again. So I don't know, like I don't give that stuff a whole lot of weight, just because looking at it from an objective perspective, there's too many things that could go wrong with that, but it is of note for the story. So that's what we did the other night. That was like about a 5-hour invest. Of course, we didn't get a whole lot of stuff, so we ended up packing up about 1 o'clock, getting out of there. I still need to go over the evidence for that. One of the suggestions I saw online is you guys wanted to know our opinions on Ouija boards. Which that one, oh man, that one's a subject and a half, because I've spent so many hours on forums and paranormal boards arguing back and forth, and that is a hot topic, I will tell you. A lot of people swear by them. A lot say don't use them. They open doors to things you don't understand, or it invites demons, and it's realer than real. And then the other camp is you're an idiot. It's the idometer effect, which I definitely fall on the idometer effect thing, but I don't think people are idiots. Ouija boards are as real as you want them to be. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. Let me start with the scientific side of it, okay? I mean, I'll go into both sides of it, about like how it could actually work spiritually. When we talk about like how we know it to work scientifically first, okay? So, if you know anything about the idometer effect at all, it's the way your subconscious kind of presents itself into physical form, okay? Ouija boards are the big one that it takes over. It also affects EVPs, and it's mainly because your brain doesn't like idle silence and like boring situations, things like that. Like if you've ever been on like a boring date or a tough job interview, if there's silence, you try to fill it by talking. Well, it's kind of the same thing with a Ouija board. Your subconscious will give you the answers to the questions you're asking. Like it's not a conscious effort that you're doing, but it is your own muscles reacting to your subconscious and giving you that. And they have proven this is a real thing. This is actual fact. This isn't speculation. So at least some of the time, this is how it's operating. And they've proven it a few times with a pretty simple experiment where they'll have somebody who uses a Ouija board and use it over the course of multiple sessions with a blindfold on. Some of the sessions, they will have the Ouija board right side up, right? So the way you would normally look at it. You know, they'll ask questions, they'll contact their spirit, they'll get their answers, hello, goodbye, all that good stuff. Everything works out the way it's supposed to. And they're blindfolded while they do this, and they don't know the wiser. Some of those sessions, they will take and they will turn the Ouija board upside down so that it's facing away from them. And the planchette will actually go to the same places where the letters should be at. So what that shows is the whole thing is based on the perception of the user. So it'll still spell out, or in theory, it'll still spell out like the answer that they should be getting, but it's going to the wrong spot. It's not going to where the letter actually is on the board. So, I mean, that absolutely proves that it has something to do with the person that observes the board, not a third-party spirit that's like controlling the planchette. and it's a really strong effect. And people that are like, no, these are ancient devices that have been used forever. The Ouija board wasn't designed until the 30s. I mean, it has a patent by Milton Bradley, I believe, or maybe it's Hasbro. I don't remember. Like, you can look it up. They're not that old. They came out during like World War II or World War One, I believe. It's not something that was commonly used to even contact spirits. But like I said, we'll go into the other side of it. Intent could be key. So if like spirits are a thing, you know, and it's something you can talk to, then I mean, it would just be like telling it to use your SB7 spirit box or your voice recorder, your EMF, you know, anything like that. It should, in theory, be able to operate through the Ouija board. But I don't know. I have just not personally seen any evidence for it. So we're not big proponents of the Ouija board. So anyway, that's about 30 minutes. I just wanted to get on and kind of talk to y'all a little bit. We do have an investigation next week, which will be from the A.W. Perry Homestead Museum and the historical cemetery that's down the road. And with that, we're going to be live streaming from both locations. We're going to have a static camera set up at A.W. Perry in the doll room, which that's just going to be going the whole time. So you can actually tune into that on either the YouTube or the Facebook channel, whichever one we start streaming that one to. You can just watch it and leave comments, tag evidence, things like that. And then we'll take another live stream camera with us to the actual cemetery where we'll be doing the live investigation. And that'll be on YouTube, or it'll be on the opposite. You know, if we're streaming on one, then we'll be streaming on the other with that. So that's next weekend. We're hoping to start the live stream at 10 o'clock next Saturday. So hope to see everybody then, and I will try to get another one of these going pretty soon. So everybody have a good night.